to the Village Talk Show. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. Give praises to Jehovah, from whom all blessing and knowledge will flow. Blessing and knowledge will flow. The Village Talk Show, dedicating to empowering the community to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life, helping each one of us in realizing our dream at any age, any point, starting from today, day. Success. Come on to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. Come on to learn and grow. Welcome to the Village Talk Show. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. We discuss what people need to know, empowering them to learn and grow. Success is not spoken, it is done. Success is done. Come on now. The Village Talk Show. Talk Show. The Village Talk Show.
Good evening, everyone. How you doing? Saying hello, bringing you greetings on this date, this Thursday in June. Just letting you know that you're listening, watching. Hopefully, you're subscribing and sharing the Village Radio Talk Show on 92.1 GD Radio, on Facebook at John L. Sampson, Roderick F. Daly, Dr. Joanne Bryan, Sophia Willissey, and Andre Doman, our executive producer, and also right on our Facebook, YouTube piece at the Village Radio Talk Show. And finally, just making sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Village Radio Talk Show. Come one, come all. Come one, come all. Invite us all out and to ensure that you are going to have a good time, knowing that the Village Talk Show is dedicated to empowering the community to live a healthy, safe, and financially capable life through education, helping each one of us in realizing our dreams at any age, any point, starting from today. Success is not just spoken, it is done. What are you doing to be successful? Hey, Dr. Brian. Hey, John, what's going on?
Hey, how are you?
I am doing great. They're gonna give me. Listen, don't be jealous, all right? Don't be jealous. Neither you nor John, right now. But
jealous of what? Jealous of what?
So you have nothing to be jealous about. How you doing, John?
I'm blessed. Which that you're not in the studio and you're behind us in Jamaica? Should we be jealous of that?
I know.
I don't think so.
No. But you guys should be in the damn studio, right? I'm gonna have to start beating on Andre, all right, to tell John to be in the studio because it works so much better.
Hey, I was on my way to the studio and I heard no studio, so I was on my way. I was 2 minutes away.
So it's our executive producer that did it. By the way, how was your birthday, John?
My birthday was very quiet.
Well, what is that, Marvel? I don't know what that is. Can you hit that back?
Hey, Sophie. What's up, Sophie? Our other producer, Sophia. Sophia, what's up?
All right. So how was did you do anything, Joanne, to celebrate your birthday?
Did I do something?
Are you going to give me a one-word answer again?
Absolutely. I celebrated with family and friends.
All right. John, how was your birthday?
I celebrated it with family and friends.
How was Mr. and Mrs. Pierre? What did they do? What did kids do?
We went out.
That's it? You went out? You didn't do anything but going out? Where did you go?
To a restaurant.
What's the name of the restaurant, Joanne?
Don't listen. The 1,000,001 questions don't work well for me.
I know that you don't like any questions. What's the name of the restaurant?
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
The audience wants to know. What
No, they
restaurant
don't.
you went to?
No, they don't.
Yes, they do, because we want to know if the food was good.
The food was delicious.
So where did you go?
I went. Okay, so I went to a hibachi restaurant.
Oh, Japanese. Nice. Nice. You and the family?
Yes. Me and the
Doing
family.
these one-word answers, yo, you killing me.
You want too much?
Hey man, let's jump into the
know,
what's
my
going
God.
on, baby? What's going
Hey,
on?
John, let's jump
What's
into. Oh,
going
wait.
on?
We can't
What's
jump in
going
yet.
on?
Thank
Wait,
you.
we can't jump in yet. Let me do the
Thank you,
scripture
John,
verse.
for the save.
Let me do the,
What's
let me
going
do the
on
scripture
with the
verse
gun
first.
carrying?
Hold on. Let me do the scripture verse first, and then you can jump in. So this week, our program is brought to you by Acts chapter 9, verses 1 through 7. And so this is the conversion of Saul to Paul, and as he was on his way to Damascus. And it reads as follows. Meanwhile, Saul was still breathing out murderous threats against the Lord's disciple. He went to the high priest and asked for letters to the synagogues in Damascus, so that if he found any there who belonged to the way, whether men or women, he might take them as prisoners to Jerusalem. Verse 3. As he neared Damascus on his journey, suddenly a light from heaven flashed around him. He fell to the ground and heard a voice say to him, Saul, Saul, why do you persecute me? And he answered, Who are you, Lord? Saul asked. I am Jesus whom you are persecuting, he replied. Now get up and go into the city, and you'll be told what to do. The men traveling with Saul stood there speechless. They heard the sound, but did not see anyone. Saul, verse 8, Saul got up from the ground, but when he opened his eyes, he could see nothing. So they led him by the hand into Damascus. Right? And I don't think I need to tell anybody what this verse is about, but basically, one, you don't have the choice or anything. When God comes for you and God calls you, you're coming, no matter what it is. And he can convert anyone. Anyone can be saved by the works of the Lord. And it's important that we understand that when the voice of the Lord calls upon you to do his bidding, all you can do is just step in and do what the Lord asks you for. And that's one of the reasons why, Joanne, before John gets back, why I'm so thankful, because I think I look at this radio show and say, I'm thankful that this is the way that I can get some of the message out to our community, to understand that the things that we can do to change things, and understanding all of these things that the Lord has put in front of us for us to do, and calling upon us. Like, this is, I guess, in essence, my ministry, right? It's your ministry, right? It's not in the four walls, ceiling, and a floor of a church, but it's here. And if you're listening, we're hoping that you're learning to do some things to be effective in change and honoring the work of the Lord Jesus Christ. So, that's I'm very excited about that chapter. I just happened to go to my friend is in Jamaica, and he's in St. Thomas, but he's from New York, and I went to his house. And so thank you, Faye. She was reading it. She said, you're going to go. I asked her what it was about, and she refused to tell me. So I went ahead and I
read it yourself.
I read it myself. So that's what it's about. So let's start with good news.
I have great news.
Go
yes,
ahead.
I do. I have great news about the graduates. There's so many individuals who graduated this week, today. So I need to give a special shout out to a set of twins, and I'm going to call their names. It is Amber Flores and Jade Flores, a set of twins that just graduated today from high school, and their brother graduated last week from college. Andre Julian Flores. So that family is blessed beyond measure, to have 3 children graduate a week apart or the same month. That's something to celebrate. Proud parents, thank God. They work hard, they did well, and now their parents and family and everyone can celebrate. What a great accomplishment.
Well, and that, first of all, congratulations to all of the graduates, right?
Yes.
Whether you're moving up from kindergarten to first grade,
pre-K, that's the first one, pre-K
and 3K. Don't forget 3K.
Oh yes,
yeah. So first of all, congratulations to all of you. I want to give a special shout out to my former student, Afisha David. So I'm giving her a shout out because today she got her promotion in the Navy. So now she's a E4. So she's going on with big things. She's moving up. So thank that. Also thank my little cousin. She graduated from high school today. So Ariella, congratulations on your graduation. All the My 11 graduates, sorry I missed it. I wasn't there to participate with your graduation, but you guys are awesome. And so congratulations to all of the graduates, whether you graduate from whatever level you're graduating from. So we're going to start there. We're really going to start there and say congratulations. And I want to wish my good friend, June, her birthday is tomorrow. So I want to make sure, June Prasad, happy early birthday. Hopefully you're out celebrating for tomorrow. Sorry, I'm not there to celebrate with you. And everybody's birthday is coming up. I know my wife's birthday is coming up next weekend.
I tell you, June rocks. June rocks.
Yeah.
Yes, Jesus.
All right. So I'm sorry for everybody who's born in June. I wish you were born in another month, but you can't dictate when you were born.
You're such a hater. How was your Father's Day? It was great.
My Father's Day is like, I don't know. What would you consider great? Tell me if it was great, and I'll tell you if it was great. Go ahead.
And having your children celebrate you, your wife, and your family, you're still alive to see another year to celebrate Father's Day is something to be thankful about, because so many didn't get that opportunity.
Absolutely. So many people have gone on.
And you're a survivor. Cancer. So that makes it better.
For Father's Day, I literally did just about nothing.
That's good.
I sat in the living room and I vegetated. And no, that's not true. So my son had a baseball game in Jersey and they stunk, right?
Hey, Roger, could I ask a question?
Sure.
The rent is too damn high. They had the rate increase this week. You got gas going up. He's asking for a gas sales
holiday tax.
Holiday.
Yes.
You know what? I wanted to enjoy. How can you enjoy Father's Day, really your birthday and everything else, when you look around you? You got inflation. You got the war in Ukraine.
You got health.
You have interest rates going up. I mean, but you're right. You have health.
And life.
Damn.
So I'm going to take a Joanne approach this week and say, I'm thankful, right? I'm thankful. So I'm going to take the Joanne approach, right? And then I want to go to the John's approach too, right? Because they're both correct. On that day, Father's Day, I wasn't thinking about, because one, it was Father's Day, and two, was Juneteenth, right? Mm-hmm. And so you have the double celebration going on in my head. And my wife made me a very nice dinner, so that was good, right? But then comes Monday and Tuesday, right? And this week, I came down to Jamaica, and there was a horrible incident, right, where a guy, apparently this cousin, killed a 31-year-old mother and her 4 children.
Wow.
Including their 23-month-old. And then you talk about all the violence that's happening in New York, the shootings. And then guess what, John?
What?
Guess what?
Shooting in Jamaica.
I can now own my gun.
Yeah, boy, I'm gonna get the gun. They're gonna call me the gun man.
Somebody at the Supreme Court has been listening to this show and listening to me that says this is too difficult to get a handgun in New York City and New York State. So now
Well, I don't know about difficulty getting a handgun because I can
no,
get
I'm
a
talking about
handgun.
the legal handgun,
Okay. Let's be
right?
clear now.
Right. So I'm gonna go and apply for my gun license
Me
to
too.
carry.
Me too.
Thank you. Right. I honestly though, John, there has to be mental. I am an advocate for Second Amendment, but I'm also an advocate for you got to do mental health checks. You got to do it. You got to get rid of certain types of guns.
Yeah, but I agree with you. But you know what? I was listening to the five, and you hear the conservatives are so gleeful that the Supreme Court came down with this decision. But former Congressman Harold Ford made an important point. Do I feel any safer now
Absolutely
because of this decision? No. You know why? Because it's going to be harder on the police department to be able to decipher and discern who is a person who is actually committing a crime versus a person who is actually coming to the defense of another person. So this is more scrutiny that's going to be placed on our police department. So the Republicans can all gleeful and be joyful. But when law enforcement has to say, because of this decision, I now have to pause another second to determine whether or not that the person who's carrying this concealed firearm, is this person registered to carry the firearm, or is this firearm illegal and this person is about to engage into a crime? Are these people who have concealed legal firearms are going to be wearing something around their neck saying, you know what, I'm in possession of no, it's not going to happen. So all the conservatives who are so gleeful because of this decision, be careful what you ask for.
Well, like I said, there has to be limitations on that ability to own the gun. I don't think everybody should be able. I don't think every willy-nilly should own a gun.
like you.
Well, yeah, maybe even like me. I mean, I don't know, right? I'm not under any stress. I'm not thinking I'm not thinking on that level. But I want to be able to protect my family and my property.
Well,
you can protect your property, but who says you got to carry the gun when you're leaving your property? This is what the court allows you to do.
Yeah, and that's what I need, because sometimes hey, all the carjackings, all of this, all of that. No. I got to be.
You heard about the incident where in Staten Island, a group of kids break the patio door of a home, grab the keys to the gentleman's Rolls Royce.
Wow.
Steals his Rolls Royce. So the gentleman alertly gets on the computer, able to track it, and able to, I guess, via satellite, able to shut the vehicle off. But my point is the brazenness of these young men to break into someone's home.
I think they were sleeping during that time.
They were sleeping, but it's no respect, man. No respect.
Yeah, right.
Even look at Vince Carter down there in Virginia, not Virginia, in Atlanta. They broke into his house while his wife and kids were home, and they had to hide into a closet. And
again, what hold on, let's see what did Corey say? Corey says, I agree. What did Corey say? I agree with John. Bring it up, Andre. And I'm just gonna say, I agree with John. There's a certain amount of inherent risk while carrying out in public. And then the other part, but the next part that says, but proper training is key. And that's the
You know
point.
what, Roger? I agree. Proper training is key. But let me tell you something. We are
But
all
now,
human.
I'm just saying, Joe John, is responding to what you're saying about a couple of people breaking to you. Like, I'm telling you, I don't know what's going on. I don't know if when we were younger, I don't know that we had clear, reckless abandonment for life. Like, life is not important of value. And we do so many stupid things.
Right.
I don't remember us being like that. I don't know. Joe, what do you think? You remember you being like that when you were a teenager?
No, we had respect for people, and we had respect for people's property, in spite of the fact of being, you want to be rambunctious and you want to try different things, but you're not going to break into someone's house to steal their keys, steal their car and go off. Proper home training. Nowadays, people don't care. And they don't care about people's lives. That's a different thing. So there's a lack of respect for property, for other individuals, for anything. There is that lack of care, period.
Yeah, and that's the problem. But
And
John, you're talking about the holiday, the gas holiday tax that might save 18 cents, a little bit over 18 cents on the gallon, right?
Right.
Biden touched on something, I feel, right, on a different subject than gun, right? Biden touched on something that I've been saying for a while. And that is that the corporate greed, the executive are making billions of dollars while the average man is suffering at the gas station. There has to be some level of equilibrium. So
Roderick, it's called capitalism. I work hard. I put my company together. I run it. Why not make my profit? It's the government's policies and procedures that allow me to do that. Now, if you're telling me as a corporation, you come to me and says, "Hey, fellas, hey, corporate body, can we work together and certain incentives that we can work out where you can keep the cost of gas or oil at a level that's helpful to the people?" You know what I'm saying? There's one point. This is where we lose, our ability to be rational. The president of the United States should call all those corporate leaders in and saying, "Hey, I have no problem with y'all guys making the profit. Now I need y'all to give me something back to our people, to our communities." And you know what? Hey, at this point in time, because there's going to be a period of time when you're going to need certain tax benefits and credits, I have no problem as long as we can work collectively together. So everybody, I don't blame these corporations. This is capitalism. This is what this country is based upon. There's a supply, there's a demand, there's a need. I provide that need.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to demonize them for doing that.
But at the end of the day, I will, because I think there's a certain level where you have to look and say, I can't do this. Like, the internal piece is missing, right? The internal piece is missing, and I'm actually might be calling for a national day of boycott, right?
So, Roger, who you think is going to suffer when you boycott?
The
Who
companies.
you think going to suffer?
I'm going to do a Martin Luther King.
But who's going to suffer? You think the corporate heads are going to suffer? No, it's those people that are working on the assembly line at the lower level people who are going to lay off because the revenue's not coming in. So it's counterproductive.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Because you know what Generation America understands? Money.
Well, but if we're going to boycott, we have to boycott correctly, precisely. It's precision.
Well, that's true.
We need to be strategic if we're going to boycott. And always remember, who are we going to boycott against? Are we going to boycott against the board of directors and the boards? They're still going to get paid. If the revenue's not coming in, what do you think they're going to do, Mr. Daly?
I think, I personally think that just like Martin Luther King did, right? Just like Martin Luther King did with the bus boycott in Mississippi.
But why did Martin Luther King boycott? What was the basis for them boycotting?
because they were not allowing blacks to ride on where they want on the bus
So what is the reason for us boycotting now?
to lower the prices.
Why is that a civil rights issue, or is that a social justice issue, or is
It's
that
both.
a social justice issue? What is it?
What do you mean by if it's a social justice issue? You
I'm
don't think it's-
asking you because the prices are too high. Why are the
Yes.
prices high?
it
Because
makes it
of the
unaffordable
policies.
for the average
Because of the
American to buy
policies
gas.
implemented by the government, my brother.
No. I'm not gonna go with that. Look, Monet says she's applying for her gun license. I don't blame you, Monet. Apply for that.
Big
gun
Mo, that's right, Big Mo. Get that gun, baby. Get that gun, Big
license.
Mo.
As soon as I get back to New York, I'm applying for my gun license.
And I hope
Hey, let me tell you something. And that's what we need to do. Unfortunately, I can't apply, but I'm telling you, Dr. Bryant, daily apply for the gun license. You know why? Because
Why?
they're going to be so afraid. They say, oh, snap. I got all these black and brown people who are licensed to carry guns now, legally. What are we going to do?
Cheers.
What are we going to do? I'm
Shut it
telling
down.
you, be careful what you ask for. Sometimes instead of us bitching and moaning about these things, this is the law. Let's operate within the parameters of the law.
And that's why I'm applying for. That's why I'm applying for my gun license.
Damn
But
right.
John,
Apply for it.
Go-
Dr. Brian, I hope you apply for it too.
yeah, I'm gonna do it.
Going back to what we were talking about, John, it is a social justice issue. Whose families are like people who live in 2-fare zones in New York City are suffering right now, right? I remember we discussed last week about what's the
So,
cheapest
Roger,
gas
but how they suffering in 2-fare zones if they're taking the transit? The
Because
transit.
it's a 2-fare zone, so most people they have to have one way to get to the train.
Walk it.
No, not when you're in a 2-fare zone, John. You're talking about miles
Take
and
the
miles.
bus or take the train.
All right.
And that's one of the issues.
$2.75, my brother.
Ride a bicycle. Yeah, I get it.
Get the bike, baby. Get on the bike.
Right? At the end of the day,
Mhm.
right? At the end of the day, we need to do something to tell corporate greed slow down.
Slow down.
Well, we need to, if we're going to tell corporate greed to slow down, my thing is this: America, what are you going to do for me? You want me to be a good corporate citizen? I have no problem being a corporate citizen. However, when times are bad and I need help, but this is true, and now I can agree with you on this point. When we had that whole financial fiasco, our government dollars bailed out those institutions.
Mm.
So those
Yes, they did.
institutions should be giving back. So when the Fed raised the interest rates 0.75%, those institutions that we bailed out, they shouldn't be raising those interest rates. We helped them out.
Exactly. And so now, if they do a gas tax, right? If they do a gas tax holiday, now that's millions of dollars that will be taken away from road and road construction. But we don't want to carry on this a little bit. We have something that's, we talked about schools. We have a young man actually out of Cornell that's coming on our show today. He created a program that give free tutoring for young people who are interested in taking a special high school test. And I believe some part of it also SAT work. He's a Cornell graduate, recent graduate, so congratulations to him. Temple, you around? Let's bring Temple onto the stage.
Oh, hello. How you doing, Roderick?
I'm doing well. Welcome to the Village Radio Talk Show. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you
I
for
met this
having me.
gentleman, about 2 or 3 weeks ago at the community board, and he was talking about giving back, right? Not enough of our young black and brown boys are giving back. So Temple, kudos to you for giving back. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where you live, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I'm from East Flatbush. I currently live in East Flatbush. That's how I met Roderick at the community board meeting. I just graduated from Cornell 3 weeks ago.
All right.
Thank you. I got my degree in economics and statistics. with a minor in urban planning. And the reason I'm here on the show today is that me, along with another Cornell graduate, we started a nonprofit called Black Mind. And the idea of the nonprofit is basically to talk about certain issues we saw facing our community that we felt were under discussed, right, especially by the media. So one of those main issues was about how low the rates of acceptance for Black and brown students is into our specialized high schools in New York City. So I personally attended Brooklyn Technical High School, which is one of the specialized high schools my mom attended back in the 80s. When she was there, I saw her yearbook. It was about, I would say, 30 to 40% Black students. When I was there, it was 8% Black students. So in the past 40 years or so, we've really just gone backwards in terms of how many Black and Hispanic students are being admitted into these schools. So we created this program.
Hey, Temple, I want to jump in right there. The comment that you made about the decrease in numbers of the people of color going to these specialized high schools. But what is interesting, and I wish somebody would do a study, has there been an increase of those Black and brown students going to these independent private high schools here in New York City and those boarding schools? That's what we're not looking at, because if you look at it, you might see that the increase in numbers of those students going to those have increased during that period of time. I'm just throwing that out, but maybe somebody can look at that.
Yeah. My sister actually went to a private school in the city through Prep for Prep, one of the programs for Black students. And just out of my personal experience, I'm not sure, I haven't seen the numbers on this, but a school like Brooklyn Tech has 6,000 kids, right? A lot of these private schools, although there are more, they usually have about 100 kids per class.
Right.
So I doubt that the level is even saying all the kids are going toward the private schools. I feel like it really is more of just seeing more segregation within the public schools. That's just my first opinion of it. Yeah.
But there's more opportunities available. Like John mentioned, going through Prep for Prep and boarding schools. I know a couple of people who actually send their kids away to boarding school, and they went through the whole process of Prep for Prep, and you get a choice at the end. And if you decide to send your children away, that's your choice, but they have that opportunity. My cousin went to boarding school instead of going to one of the specialized high school. So people are turning away from the specialized.
I think though, what you're doing, because I went away to school, right? I went away to high school. I went to Amherst Regional in Mass. But the reality of the situation is that the special high school, and go back to what John was saying, is not really an option for students of color, right? Because that test that they're taking, they're just not prepared for. So these alternate programs and the charter schools are now taking over. So you're trying to say you're going to get a quality education right here in a public school in New York, and we're here to help you to do that. So
yeah, exactly.
Tell us, with your program, what do you do for a young person that comes to you who wants to take the special high school? That they don't want to go to independent days, because you know what? I looked up a couple of them, Joanne. Man, them things that cost more than college.
Yeah.
But Roger, they could cost more than college, but they're scholarships. They get free rides. Those kids are getting free rides to those boarding schools and private schools.
No, that's true. That's true.
Prep for Prep, free rides.
But not all, though, right? Not all.
Because the majority of those Black and brown students are going from
families. Remember,
for certain families, but the majority of families in those Prep for Preps are getting free rides to those schools and to those boarding schools.
That's true. A lot of them are, right? So with the specialized high school, you say, here, this is a great option for you. What are you providing as a service for students when they come to you and say, I want to go to specialized school, but I don't feel confident that I'm going to be able to pass that test? What do you provide?
Yeah, so the main part of the program, there's two main parts. So it's test prep and mentorship. So the first part is we're doing an 8-week program, which will run from August 6th until September 24th.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't hear. What kind of program? You doing what?
Test prep program for the SAT. That's the exam that you need to take to get into one of the 8 specialized high schools. So that's the exam I took and an exam that all of my peers took. And your admission into the school is based only on that test. Not even your prior grades, just only on that test. So what's happening right now is that a lot of communities put a lot of resources into prepping for that test. And then from that, the students are admitted into the school, and then they have the education to get into top colleges. So what we're saying is we want to provide that same service, but for free for Black and brown students in middle school right now. So that will be a program going on from August 6th until September 24th, which we do every year. And then the second part of the program is the mentorship. So what we do is we connect Black middle schoolers with Black students who are currently in the schools to show that there are Black students in these schools. Because when I was applying, I know one thing a lot of people said was, you're going to go to this school, there'll be nobody who looks like you, there'll be nobody there to actually foster, your education as a Black student in this institution. So what we've done is that we've connected with Brooklyn Tech's Black Student Union, with Brooklyn Latin's Black Student Alliance, and we're having those students who are already there come in and mentor these middle schoolers who are interested.
That's very,
Yeah.
that's actually pretty awesome. And this is all, nobody's gets paid, right? This is all voluntary?
It's all voluntary. So the high school students get their credits, their community service hours that you need to graduate from most of these specialized high schools. And then most of the college tutors are doing it, or all of them are doing it for free. It's a volunteer program. So there's no cost to the parents, no cost to the students. It's completely free because we know that's usually a barrier for a lot of students who want to take the exam. So everything's completely free. It's a hybrid mode right now. We're trying to get a space in person for the exams, but as of right now, it's online like we did it last year. So yeah, it's a completely free program. And we just hope that by showing them students who have made it through these schools and gone beyond to even graduate from college afterwards, we can show them that there is a place for you in this school if you want to take that place.
Have you, I'm sorry, Joe, were you asking a question, Joe?
No, I said it's true. I think one of the biggest problems, you start at what grade? What grades? 7th grade students going to take
it's 7th and 8th graders, yeah.
Okay. So rising 7th graders who want to potentially take the exam next year, or rising 8th graders?
So we accept rising 7th graders and rising 8th graders.
Okay.
Yeah. So either grade is fine, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Have you thought about reaching out to some of the rising 6th graders or even 5th graders? I think one of our problems with, you see how you mentioned that your mom graduated from Brooklyn Tech? So some of the problem that we face is some kids are not exposed to the specialized high school until it's too late. And we have another set of population who are prepping from the time the kid is 5 years old, 5, 6 years old. Let's get to it. Sunday through Monday. But unfortunately, we find out about it way too late. And by that time, the test is here and you're not ready. You don't have the skills necessary to prepare. So if you learn about, hey, you're exposed as a high school graduate, you go into, or a high school student, you go into the elementary school and say, hey, you know what? When you get to middle school, you should aim for that, to coming to a specialized high school instead of waiting until the kids are in middle school to say, hey, let's aim for this. So if you start motivating the kids at 3rd grade, at 4th grade, hey, these are great things you could do, you will grab them during that time. And then they'll strive for perfection and excellence at that younger age than later on where they're playing catch up, because many of our kids are playing catch up right now. And with the pandemic, it makes it even harder. So, we definitely need you and your organization and foundation doing this. But I also want you to reach out a little further than just the middle school kids and introduce yourself. Especially as a college graduate, introduce yourself to your elementary kids to try to motivate them to strive for excellence.
I was thinking as you were talking, Dr. Bryant, that the utilization of the program that you have, it's out there. And one of the issues, because I ran a program that focused on our young people to get into special high schools, and it was a challenge for the Black and brown boys, right? I see Empress Danielle's comment, but what Dr. Bryant is saying is like, I know Empress Danielle personally, and she's an involved parent, right? And as a matter of fact, I would love for her son to participate with you guys with your mentorship program, because he also went to Brooklyn Tech.
Okay.
Right. But the reality of the situation is that a lot of parents are not knowledgeable of quality schools, because especially what I find, right? And I didn't do a survey, but when speaking to parent, they don't even care about the school. They care about the distance of the school. Right. So I don't want my child to go to Stuyvesant because it's too far.
No, I have to agree, because I'm one of those parents.
Right.
And
right. But that's a problem, right? Because
no, it's not a problem. You want safety, especially with the trains now and the bus.
I tell parents all the time, you guys get too caught up with your belief system versus the reality system, right? The reality versus your belief, and not your belief, but your hunch, because you have no justification for your hunch, except for how you feel, right? So I think the mentorship component of your program will provide for parents the opportunity to see what they're gaining, right? And I'm hoping that's a component of what you're saying. This is what you're gaining. Like, for example, you went to Cornell University. Your other tutors went to Boston College and other colleges, right? Esteemed colleges. Not that any other college is not great, but they had a great opportunity to see and be able to provide for themselves if they did what they were supposed to do. And so the mentorship component, not just as testing, is important because it keeps them in the program.
Yeah, that was kind of thinking behind it. Last year when we did it, we didn't connect with the high schools, and we thought that was a mistake, because those are the people who are in the school now. Like, talking to a middle schooler, they're less inclined to believe me even, right? Or to believe a parent. But they're more inclined to believe a 16-year-old, right? A 17-year-old who's telling them that I'm enjoying the school I'm in, right? It's giving me opportunities, because they're not as far removed from each other. So yeah, the mentorship is definitely a big component of this year's program for that reason. And in terms of like the value proposition side of it, right? Telling parents why it's worth it. When I talk to parents about it, usually what I say is just that this gives more options, right? Taking the exam is not saying you have to go to the school. It's saying you have the option to go to the school, right? And we shouldn't be limiting our options because of certain fears you might have about distance and all those things. Like, number one, give your child options in terms of what they can do, and then take it from there. But other communities, they're taking all of the options first, right? And then deciding afterward. But it's kind of like we're limiting ourselves.
That's an excellent point, Temple. Excellent point. Excellent.
Right. I agree with Empress Danielle said. These children are so smart and knowledgeable. I find that parents, I say this all the time, and Dr. Bryant hate when parents are really one of the greatest impediment for their children's success.
No,
they are, because parents allow for their fears to become the children's fears. That's where children learn to fear from you. So tell us why you believe so strongly that a special high school education is good for a child. Why it is that you're pushing the students to get practice with it, to get to try to get them in. Why should I be interested as a parent?
Yeah, so I would say the main reason is just like in the results in terms of people I knew in middle school who went to these schools with me and people who didn't, right? at a school like Brooklyn Technical High School, which is in Fort Greene, right? The lower level of acceptance for a college is usually about, I would say, Binghamton, which is an amazing school, right? It's a top 100 school in the US. Whereas at another high school, you might have a lower college acceptance rate. You might have people who are going to colleges that aren't as prestigious, don't have as many opportunities. And I would say that being in that environment pushes you to do more, right? A lot of times what the student is doing is based on what their peers are doing, right? I went in, I was not studying, honestly, in middle school, right? I went in, everybody around me studying all the time, right? People are getting 98, 99s on the Regents exam. And you came in with an 87 and you were, you know what I'm saying, top of your class. A lot of times it isn't a matter of ability, but it's a matter of what is the environment like, right? What are your peers doing? What are they striving
It's for competition.
Yeah, it's competition. It's healthy competition, right? It's saying that in my old school, maybe an 85 was top of the class, but here it's 95, right? So I have to push myself to do a little bit better than I was doing before. And that environment allows you to, like you said, gain that healthy competition, which will then take you forward afterwards, because you need that everywhere you go in life, right? So that's why I advocate for them. I feel like the schools really do provide you with the opportunity to explore and also just challenge yourself. And on top of that, specifically with Brooklyn Tech, I like the programs we have. We have a major system where when you enter, you get to choose one of 16 majors. So I was a law and society major. You can be an aerospace major. You can be a physics major. You can be a social science research major. Literally almost anything. And what that did for me was it helped me to realize, what do I want to do in college, right? What are my long-term career goals? Because our teachers in these schools, they were professors from law schools, right? My professor for criminal law went to Duke University. The leader of Black Student Union, she went to Yale Law School, right? Schools like U Chicago. Like, our professors were very highly educated, and they were choosing to be in the school where they are now. Right? They wanted to be there to teach us because they felt so passionate about passing on like their field to the next generation. So I would just say the level of competitiveness is just higher. The teachers you'll be introduced to are of a higher caliber, and they care about where they are because they had to work to get into that school in the first place.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's why I'm an advocate of these schools personally. I feel like I had a great experience, and most of the people that I know who went to schools with me, they had a good experience too. It's just more options. Like, there's no other school where you're gonna get a law and society major or even have a major at all. Yeah.
Well, how can people reach you?
So the best way to reach out to us is on Instagram. Our Instagram is at blackmind.org. So that's at blackmind.org. And then our email is blackmindny@gmail.com. And either of those ways, you can send us an email. We can get your student matched up with a tutor, right, who can be a mentor going forward, and then get them a spot in the program for the summer of this year. Yeah, and just get them prepared for the test. We'll figure out the materials. We'll figure out the timing. You just have to reach out to us in terms of saying you want your student to partake. Yeah, and we'll take care of the rest of it.
Temple, tell us some of the schools that your classmates got into after they graduated from high school. Can you hear me?
Sorry. Yeah, I can hear you. 1 second. Okay, so out of my friend group, schools that people went to, I went to Cornell. My best friend who came to middle school with me, he went to Cornell too. One of my other good friends went to Boston University, Howard University, Buffalo. A lot of people went to Binghamton. People who went to U Chicago, Emory, Georgetown, just, I would say all around top 30, top 40 schools mostly. Yeah, most people were going to a top 100 school. Like, it was unlikely that you're not going to 100 school after going to a school like Brooklyn Tech or Stuyvesant. Yeah, those are a couple, like, yeah.
I mean, the reason why I asked that question, and I know we have to wrap up, but the reason why I asked that question, because I want parents to understand that it's all about the choices. Nobody's telling you to choose these schools, but the option is there that most New York City high schools does not provide, right? Does not provide for. So parents need to know that options are available, because where I went to school, I wouldn't have learned about that going to the school I went to, right? And it makes a difference. A lot of kids, it does make a difference where you go to school, where you graduate from, in general. So, Temple, I want to thank you for what you're doing.
Yes.
Black Minds, we'll continue to do some work together to try to get you more students out there to be part of this program, because it is very, very important for our community, especially when we talk about Black and brown students.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. And like I said, reach out at our Instagram, which is @blackminds.org, or our email, which is blackmindny@gmail.com. Yeah.
Okay. We
All right.
thank
All right.
you. Thank you
Thank you,
so much.
Thank you for having me.
All
Thank
right.
you for coming on.
All right.
Take it.
So John,
Yeah.
I know I wish that you could just sit down and we had the opportunity to just talk, because our students of color, Black and brown students, are just not making it at the top of the economic chart on a majority level. I'm not talking about, of course, there are exceptions. Everybody, like somebody calls it and they will say, oh, but I know, yes, you are going to know a few.
Mhm.
But you have to look at, when I tell people, don't talk about your personal experience in certain things. In this particular situation, look at the data, right? The data does show that if you graduate from Brooklyn Tech, it's the likelihood of going to a 4-year college, which is what you want this child to do,
Of
the
course.
number is significantly higher. It is a 99% graduation rate from Brooklyn Tech. Some of these specialized high schools have 100% graduation rate. So if my child attends this school, there is almost 1,000% chance that child will graduate and the child will go to a good school. So you have the combination of both. So when you send to another school, oh, I like the school better because it's close to home, but the graduation rate is 70%. When the graduation rate,
I wouldn't do that. But,
right? When the graduation rate is 80%, even 90%. 90% is considered great. But what's the difference between 90% and 100%?
But Roger, it's interesting. Like I tell a lot of people who are interested in going to law school, and they always look at the prestige, the Harvard, Columbia, the Cornell. But I always say, you know what? Don't look at the institution, whether it's an Ivy League, middle of the road. Look at the first year test takers' passage rate on the bar exam.
Cha-ching.
And that just shows you, because when I went to Albany Law School was number 2 behind in Columbia. We were ahead of some of the Ivy League law schools because our passage rate for first-time test takers was like 90%. And that's what you look for. That's exactly what you look for.
And that's exactly what we're all trying to get at. Giving yourself options that you like, and understand the options, right?
Right.
You got to understand them too. Like where I went to college, I wasn't planning on being a teacher, but the quality of education I got when I got out of college, I didn't go to teacher school. I didn't go to no teacher college. But when I got out of school, because of the quality of education I got, I took a test. I fell asleep. Most of the tests, woke up and still passed the damn test, right? Right? Because of the quality of education. And I'm not sitting here telling you that I was an A student. I was not. Right? So imagine that I'm not an A student passing the test that people went to teach to certain schools for and they couldn't pass. That's exactly what your point is, right? What are you doing after? What are you doing with that degree? And so what he's doing is saying, hey, parents, let's look at these viable options, right? Because the other thing about going to school like one of these top 8 schools, is that the students are already vetted, right? They're already vetted. So I knew when I got to college, I got accepted to 8 out of my 9 colleges, right? Because where I went to high school, it's ranked in the country.
Right.
So if it's ranked in the country and I'm in the middle of the road of my school, I was number 33 in my class. Lafayette, I was number 4 or 5 in the whole class. I went up there.
But Roderick, there was only 35 people in the class.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? There were 220 kids in the class, smart ass, right? But the point is, they knew if I'm number 33 at this school, I must be doing something, right? And so that's important, parents, when you're moving forward.
Roderick, but at least you were doing something, unlike the police force in that school district in Uvalde, Texas.
I don't even want to talk about that. I know we have to talk
But
about
that's something. But you know what, brother? They did absolutely nothing, and they always talk about what stops a bad guy with a gun, a good guy with a gun. You had 19 good people that had guns, and they couldn't stop one of them.
Or was it 21 in the school or 21 overall? I don't know if it was 20, 19 plus 2 plus the
it is whatever it was, but
whatever it was, right? Whatever it was, it is that I'm reading up on the stuff, John, and they put the chief on temporary leave right now.
Paid leave. That's the thing.
Now, you see, hey. I don't care if it's paid or not paid. What I care about is that people are saying, I get the point of what you're saying when you say paid leave, right? But I don't care if it's paid. At least now they're bringing to attention, what the hell were you doing? I hate to say it, John, I'm throwing out there. I think it was racially motivated because it's Spanish kids.
Yeah, but you know the majority of the police force is Hispanic too, so Mexican. So
I
don't think.
Let me ask you.
I think it was incompetence. Yeah, Doc.
I assure you that if it was a white school, they would have gone in there faster. I don't care what nobody tell me. I'm throwing it out here. I think it has a racial component to it.
Okay, so now let's look at New York City. So now we have the opposite in regards to our mayor states that, hey, if a situation like that occur, we'll be ready. But here you have problems with kids carrying weapons, having over 6,000 weapons seized this school year. So that is a major problem. What do you do when it's the student who have the gun in the classroom or have the taser or have a knife or whatever? So what do you do then? They're running in, but it is a situation. Why now more and more kids are carrying weapons to school? 6,000 school year?
A lot of these kids, some of these kids carry weapons because they're afraid. They have to walk through gang territory when they go home. Some of them are just purely afraid.
But then some just want to fit in and just want to attack.
I think personally, I don't know that the three of us on this show can address the mental mindset, right? Because we know everything that you guys said and follow fashion. Some people literally the fears of their parents, right? Right? No. Oh, you're not safe. You know how many parents give their kids? Wait. You know how many parents actually give their kids tasers to carry to school and pepper spray?
Yes.
So then, what do you say? It's the fear, also the fear of their parents, right? Because they're kids, they're middle school kids, and so, but the numbers are so it's everything that we're talking about, John, right? It's the fear of the parents. It's as we're saying, Jamaica would say, follow fashion. Their own fears, the company that they keep, right? Sometimes the company that you keep, they get your ass in trouble, right?
Amen.
You understand what I'm saying? So you can look at it, but the fact of the matter is, right? The fact of the matter is the need for
safety.
No, the need for weapons in a school is I believe that safety is not being addressed in that school. Why?
I agree.
Because high schools don't have the same issues. Why in private schools they don't have? Not that they don't have the same issues, but they don't have the same issue at the same level. Why is that? You don't have the fights.
Repeat what you just said.
In certain school settings, they do not have the violent situations as some of the other schools. Why? Because I've been to specialized high school that has students 3 times the size of high schools that I've been a part of, and they have 5 safety agents.
And then I'm glad you said that. And then certain schools who have so many kids only have 1.
That may be true, right? So that's what I'm talking about when we look at the safety of our school and the safety of our children.
I think
there are a couple of comments here. Sylvia said, nothing as usual. I strongly believe was a race thing from there. Oh, it's talking about Uvalde. And going back to what I said, I do think it was race. I think it was racially motivated. I think it was a bunch of white kids that would have done a better job. They would have done a much better job. What does Carlene says? Good evening. Hey, Carlene, how you doing? Right.
So I think after going back to school, being remote for a while and being inside, people learn different strategies, different craziness. They experiment with different things. And then now going back into a school setting, I don't think schools were prepared for the mental reaction of what was happening or the after effect. You know, you have fear, then you have another set of craziness that's taking place, and then you have those who want to prove something. So there was so many different combination of things happening that we weren't prepared for, because we've never been in a situation like this.
I think that we need to provide in school from day one a mental health stress class.
Yeah, bringing brass knuckles, stun guns, knives, metal pipes. I don't know. So that's scary. As a parent, it's scary.
Yeah, you know, and we try to see the situation. What else is going on? There's a settlement in the case, the police case there in Minnesota.
Yes.
Brooklyn, Minnesota.
Yeah, Brooklyn Center, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. What was it?
Daunte Wright that got shot by Kim Porter, the officer who fatally, she thought it was a stun gun, and she ended up shooting the poor man.
The family got $3.5 million in a settlement. Mm-hmm. Right. I think that's very nice, but it's not going to bring back the young man.
Exactly.
Right.
And his child is not going to know who his dad is. So, it's great. But on the other hand, we have some guests who are here to join us.
Oh, guests are here?
Yes, they are ready to go. Let's do it.
All right, let's bring them on.
Let's get it.
Where they at?
Our producer's back there. What is our producer? Oh, there we go. That's two. Number 3. Here's the other guest.
Hello. She's coming in right now. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for having us.
Good afternoon. Good evening. Yo, why you late, Mercedes? Why you late?
I was here, been there, waiting for you.
Roger. Yeah.
It's not me. Welcome to the village from Jamaica.
Hi. Welcome from Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
How are you?
Hey, Nick, Mercedes, Monique, Council Member Narcisse.
Congratulations to all.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We appreciate the congratulations from you. Coming from you mean a lot, little brother.
Oh, big sister.
Aw.
Oh, you know what? Monique, we're gonna have to be little brother and big sister. Our big brother.
No problem.
Look at
No
Charles.
problem. And Daily, my 11 had their big graduations today.
Yeah, no, I couldn't make it, unfortunately.
In Jamaica.
Where did you go?
Yes, I did. And I got to speak on our behalf. I let them know who we represented for my 11.
Yeah.
And my 11 makes some great leaders.
Yes,
I'm really sure I told them.
I appreciate. I was actually supposed to go, but I had somebody go in my stead.
Because you're in Jamaica, brother.
Yeah. I'm eating some mangoes, and I'm not supposed to be eating mangoes. So
Anyway, we're gonna keep moving.
hold on. I just got to show.
Let me tell you.
You know we have an ambassador in Jamaica, right?
We don't wanna see you.
Okay.
You
Nah,
see?
that's how you cut your ass off.
So did Andre just cut me off?
I
Right?
guess he did.
Yes. 'cause we
Hi, Andre.
Right. So Carlene is saying congratulations to all of you. Wonderful. So that's great. Let's talk a little bit. You're the assemblywoman.
Yes.
Your first term, 2 months. I mean a month. Like
Yeah.
literally a month today. Today's a month. Today's 31 days since you've been elected. Tell me about the whirlwind. Tell me how that.
I went to school the first day and had a final. So I went to Albany, got sworn in. We passed like 1,000 bills the first week, no sleep. And here we are. I was able to co-sponsor a couple of bills on some great committees. And we have a lot of work to do. And then I still have to run for re-election. So it's a whirlwind all around. But I'm blessed and I'm not complaining. Highly favored to have won the seat because our community believed in the message and the vision that we have.
Awesome. Mercedes, your first term, first 6 months. Tell us about that a little bit.
Well, I have a chance to work for the people and address the inequities that we've been talking about. I'm part of budget and negotiation, and I'm able to allocate a lot of funding toward the places that need it the most. In the school building now, you should be happy and proud that you endorsed me. Libraries, yes. And then not only allocated 100,000, I allocated the total funding for all my school in my district. That is the libraries, that is the auditorium, that is all the things that make our classroom work. And not only that, I was able to allocate a lot of funding toward programs because a lot of schools losing their programs, and they're so happy to have me as a council member. And I'm always say it's a blessing for me to be at the right place at the right time.
Yes,
So,
talk about elevators too. Elevators.
yes. So I'm happy and excited. I'm a chair of all hospital in New York City. You know, this is a good thing. We're talking about healthcare. So we know that we have diabetes, hypertension, and killing our community, but it took the pandemic to highlight it even further. Now we cannot go backward. We have to address it. So thank you.
Okay. My elected officials, my district leaders. You know, an important point to me is, you know, what Donald Trump said a couple of years ago. When you look at our inner cities and you look at those communities that are pretty much chaotic, where you have high crime rate, low education, they're in the majority of minority areas. But what's interesting is that a considerable number of those areas are represented by Democrats. And my question to you guys are, what are y'all going to do different to make sure that there's actually a change in the communities where we get what we rightfully deserve?
You saw it in my budget allocation. We just like, I'm not playing game. So I got in there less than, a month. I had to be in BNT and try to fight for my community. And I bring dollars in my community. And then every oversight that I have, like today I have parked and talking to the commissioner, I said, we need Black folks in there. And then we cannot avoid talking about Black issues. We have to put people on the spot. And this pandemic, believe it or not, we can ride on it because they've been doing wrong to our community. And we cannot go backward because backward did not work for us. And that's why we have to have that kind of like no, we're not gonna apologize for things that we need in our community. And nobody can press my volume down until I deliver. And that's what I was able. And thank God too, I have a great speaker, Adrian Adam, that been in our community, that understand the struggle that we've been through. And when I ask for dollar, they deliver. They help me to deliver for my community. I didn't do it alone. And thanks, bro, my little bro. So yes, we have to fight. We have to fight. We cannot apologize and stay quiet when we're in the room. We have to.
And I think that's my point, even to you, Assemblywoman. Y'all guys can't, and Nick Jr., y'all guys can't, you know, just go along with what's going on. Sometimes, you know, even our Democratic colleagues are not doing the right things. So, you know, y'all guys got to just be there. You know, if they're not doing the right things, then they don't need to be in office. Well, you know, and that's really important. Because sometimes our own people, we stifle our own growth in our communities. Because, you know, the whole philosophy is we're always a crab in a barrel. Instead of coming together, we always divide and conquer.
Well, that's true. And you know the personality that you have here. You know Mercedes for years, you know of us. And if you watch our history and our record, we are standing and push against the grain. When something is not right, we say it. And that's why a lot of people at times don't want people in office that's going to be real. We represent, it's only one person on the ballot. You have to represent sometimes over 140,000, in your district over 200,000 people. You have to make sure you represent the people, the powers in the people. We understand that. And that's why we have a slate of team members right here that's running together. Mercedes for district leader, Nicholas Perry for district leader, and me for re-election for assembly, because we are for the people. And as you see what's going on, there's people that's very divisive, right? Not uniting the community. And the fundamental things, we have to be united. We're one district that have multiple needs, and we have to be united from city, state, federal level, and the Democratic Party itself needs to be united. So once we keep on bickering and people is not united, when you're divided, people come in and things can happen. So fundamentally, the leaders all have to work together on one accord. And that's why you have to elect good leaders that is for the people, not power in a title.
Just like Nicholas Perry, have to put the word, because he's moving it like his father. So
right. And actually, I was just about to ask you, Nick. You want to run for state committeeman. This is your first attempt at an elected office, right? Tell us a little bit about that. What has, I heard what Monique said, the passion that Monique has. What has led you now to say, after all of these years, I'm finally running for an office? Tell me what motivated you to do that.
Well, let's start from the beginning, right? I have over 20 years of experience in constituent services. In my experience in working for the city, I've advocated for people all around the city. I've advocated for seniors. I've advocated for small businesses, nonprofits. I've stood in solidarity with gun violence rallies throughout the city. But also, you know, my dad just got appointed to be ambassador to Jamaica, and I stepped in and supported him, and I was advising him through the process. But while I spent time with him, he was very concerned about what was happening in the neighborhood that he led for over 30 years, right? With the leadership that's happening and all the maneuvers and all the tricks that people are doing in the neighborhood to take it over, right? There are people out here that are lying, right? They're saying that they're district leaders. They haven't been appointed and they haven't been elected. And that's also a testament of how they're going to lead if they do get elected. And those are the people that we don't want in office. And that's the reason why I've stepped in, so that we can level the playing field, right? It's almost like good over evil. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we're trying to prevent. We need good leaders to lead the people, because anybody that's out there in a leadership position with a personal agenda, that's the heart of corruption in government. And that's what we're trying to prevent.
You're on mute.
Roderick, you're muted. Still muted.
Well, that's a good thing.
You're in Jamaica. That's the problem now.
So you know, you know the issue now.
Mike is muted.
So
Oh, you got jokes today.
what do y'all guys really think about this early voting?
Early voting is it's a good start for a lot of people, giving people option to try to increase the amount of voters that come out, because you cannot say I did not have time. They give you enough time, and I think that's a good process. But at the same time, we have to put it like when we have site where is out of the district, like for 58, you have to go in 59 to vote. So it's a good distance for the seniors, the same people that we want to vote. We have to make sure it's accessible. If it's not accessible, you're not going to get the return that you need. And then at the same time, too, we have to promote it. That's why we have Common Cause folks. They should be doing a lot of advertisement and outreach, just like Board of Election. Instead of playing tricks, they should be going out there and making sure the people that are supposed to vote knows who they're voting for, too. If you're not encouraging, that's one of the things, too. If you're not bringing leaders that are going to represent the community and have the interest of the community, you're not giving people interest to come out. And then as you can see in the last race that I had about 8 people running against me. I still have 16,000 votes at the end because people come out to vote. You have to give them reason to come out to vote. And when they see the good leaders, they will come out. So, but we need to move more promotion out there. We need to put the site within the district, walking distance for the seniors, for people that don't drive.
So you can probably talk to your speaker about putting a hearing together about that. I mean, it's great with early voting, but some of the pitfalls, like you're saying, if I'm in the 58th and my people got to go to the 59th, you know, you're kind of defeating the purpose.
Exactly. It's not convenient.
Yes.
Because it should really be about convenience for people to come out and vote.
And people need to know and be educated.
Right.
That there is poll sites, and it needs to be easier. A lot of people don't know where their poll site is, and it's confusion and frustration because they'll go to the closest one. I think they should be able to vote at any early voting site. It's all electronic right now.
And that's something you could do, Assemblywoman, especially up in Albany, to raise that too. Like, you know, we should be able to go to our early voting should mean that we should be able to vote in our voting sites that we normally vote in.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I was speaking to a stakeholder today in East New York, and they're asking me, they're like, Nicholas, why is one of the early voting sites all the way out here on Schenck Avenue?
How they're gonna travel from Canarsie to go to Schenck, and then one of the things that I realized a lot of time, they like one time in the last year in the early voting, it was one side for a lot of folks. And then now this year, the site is still there, but they send them all over the place. They switch them around. All those kind of politics we need to review to make it easier for the people, not the convenience for those that's supposed to be in power.
And another question I want to ask is, what's your guys' point of view on this Supreme Court decision regarding
that's crazy.
these concealed weapons? What are your thoughts?
Crazy. It's gonna be. It's not good for our community, period, because we have a lot of I would say that our young folks that's already on the edge, that never have an opportunity, that outside, that have tendency to carry guns and stuff like that. They're not gonna understand that you need to have how to call it? You have to have,
you have to have a license to carry.
License. If you don't have a license, but for them, they will think that is a free way for them to come and carry guns. And we have enough guns in our community right now as we speak. And the one that have license are the one that buying them and distributing them in our community. Like I always said, we don't have a manufacturer within our community. So why we have so many guns? And this not helping us at all. And we're gonna pass a resolution. As a matter of fact, we had a press conference today to make sure that we address the density and the amount of folks that carrying guns in our community. We have to go against that. I know the state, the Supreme Court did their part, but we have our responsibility at the city level as well as the state level to take it on, because we know our community are the one that's suffering the most from having gun on the street.
Well, I'm just saying that I hope that doesn't pass before I get my gun, because I'm applying for my gun.
You don't need no gun.
I am the only one in the show who's a strong advocate for legal guns. I really am. I think that I think there has to be boundaries in which to set it up. So I am not against the Supreme Court decision. I am actually in agreement with the decision, to be very honest with you. So I'm just throwing it out there,
happy.
right?
Yeah.
And that it should be okay for you to bear arms. The question has to become, how is the process being done? What should be allowed and what should be allowed? So
But I agree with Roderick, and sometimes sometimes you got to beat them at their own game. They allowed us to carry concealed weapons, then we need to go out there and register and carry concealed weapons too. Sometimes they got to be careful what they ask for.
Right. I think one of my major problems with it is that the victims are almost always all people who are not able to defend themselves.
Exactly.
So right. And to me, that's a problem. So it makes it difficult for a law-abiding citizen to protect him or herself when you can just get a gun. You need to get all of the illegal guns off the street and work around that. And then people.
But we haven't been able to do so. And most of the law.
That's why it needs, a person like me, need to be able to protect myself.
Yeah, but most of the law passed when we did not have those kind of weapon. NRA is pushing. They have the money, but we suffering. We're taking the brunt of everything. We take the brunt of guns. We take the brunt of pandemic, epidemic, name it. So we cannot afford to have so many guns rolling around our community.
And traditionally, things are not applied equally and equitably across the board. So Second Amendment cannot be applied equally to blacks and whites. So we got to take all those stuff in consideration. Things are said, but then how does it really apply practically on the ground? How does that look?
I also want to just throw.
You're the only Republican that I know of. By the way.
I'm not Republican. I am a Democrat, but I'm a moderate Democrat. I'm not a left Democrat. I don't like, to be honest with you, I would never vote for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I would never vote for her ever. Right? She's just too far left for me, too liberal. But to be very honest with you, I like the work that you guys are doing and what it is that you are presenting. And that's, when you were running, I'm like, you need to support. You need to support them because they're looking forward to doing things in the community. I am nowhere near right. John is actually more right than me, but I'm nowhere near left. Right. I want to go back to something when we talk about guns, especially gun violence. Both of you are in office, and Nicholas, we hope that you're going to get there after the primaries next week. Right. The question is mental health. Right. And the stressors, because that also leads to gun violence. And one of the just before you guys got on, we were talking about addressing mental health from an early stage. Are there any things that you are putting into place, either at the assembly level, at the city level, and at the state committee, prospective state committeemen, to address mental health for young people for all the ages to complete the gap? What exactly are some of the things that you're looking at and hoping to get through, especially within the community that we live in?
Guess what? We just passed the budget, and I was the louder person for mental health. As a nurse for 3 decades, I believe we should have mental health addressed in the school from starting pre-K to make sure. That's the reason we put over $5 million. That's the first time ever to make sure that in the school building, our children are being assessed early. Because if we address mental health early, we will not be in what we are today if we're starting to address them. Because a lot of parents, no parents, especially in our community, it's taboo to say the child have a problem. When the teachers or anybody else tells you, any mother, that the child have a problem or they have a mental, the minute you say mental, you cannot even finish the sentence. No, not my child. So once we normalize it, which we need to do, and right now we allocated funding to have it in the school building, and I'm keep on preaching, talking about it, to realize mental health is just like physical. That's the first time, like I said, in the city level, we put money for that. And I'm going to push. I'm not satisfied. I want more money. We're still negotiating, even though we check in and everything, a lot of allocation of money, but we still want to push. I want to push for more. I want to see mental health being addressed, just like the physical. So that's the reason all the Gotham Clinic we're talking about, that's one of the things we have, not only long COVID, We want mental health ability in each and every one of them, and especially they're gonna be in a high risk area, which is my community, your community.
Yeah, and in addition to that, destigmatizing mental health, the language. I know we did mental health first aid. I know it wasn't the program didn't continue through this administration in that way where we're training people. But when you destigmatize it, it makes it easier. Other cultures, they first thing they do when they have a child, they go and figure out every test, figure out everything that they can get, what this child have, don't have, or may have, to make sure they get the services they need. When we start realize those services are there for our kids, and we need to, it's not a label, because in our culture, it's all about, it's a label. We don't understand, or we haven't been educated, and there's a stigma to it. So when you destigmatize it, making it easy to get access to mental health care. When you go to look for a doctor, if you have something wrong with your knee, right, you go to go and get a doctor. But when you have something wrong mentally, it's very hard to get access to those doctors as well. So having programs and being very intentional. When family members are in crisis, they should not be calling 911. There should be a mental health provider with a different number that they call, maybe 711, with the same response time as the police, as the 911. So that's what we have in our community, where people are crying out for services, and the only one thing they know is one agency. One agency is always responding, which is NYPD. We need to have Department of Health and Mental Hygiene and other people at the table to make sure that they are getting the services. And the way we have a domestic violence unit in the precinct, we should have something when it comes to mental health. You have all the brochures and say, there's a mental health warrant. These are the different things that you can do, because we're talking about proactively, like what Mercedes said, but there's also, we have to deal with stuff reactively as well. So we need to have it on both ends, and making sure that the stigmatizing is a big deal. It has to change the mindset for us and how we look at mental health. You can be mentally impacted, left long enough untreated, become a mental health illness. There's a lot of trauma. When someone gets shot, they said, you know what, I was just there 2 minutes ago. It could have been me. And people keep on replaying those tapes in their head. So we have a big crisis when it comes to a public health crisis. I heard a Republican just said it's a crisis just the other day, right? They just realized it was a crisis. But it's been a crisis for us in the Black and Brown community. But so those are some of the...
I want to go back. One of the things, one comment from Empress Danielle back, but I want to talk about that, but I also want to talk about a second component. I am an advocate for mental health registry, right? So each precinct should have a list of severe mental health patients, so that when I lost a student in December, former student on Utica Avenue and by Utica Avenue, Eastern Parkway, right? Ernst Pier, right? And he had a mental health issue. He was shot by the police and he was killed. He had a knife in his hand, and they responded, obviously, and nothing's major going to come about it, right? I'm thinking a mental health registry. What are your thoughts on the legal concept of a mental health registry, that you're saying if something's wrong with Roger Daley mentally, right, when the police is called, right, this person should tag along, right? Because I know that Roger Daley has a mental health issue. And that's one of the things that I've been advocating for, get a mental health registry. You have a pedophile registry, you got this registry. Why can't we have that?
So let me go ahead.
Well, I just want to say, at what point do you qualify to be a part of that registry, Rudy? Like, do we have mental health checkups? Are there mental health checkups that we have like in the schools? Like, how do we determine mental health? There's a whole lot of people that have mental health issues that are in denial. Some people have to go through trauma before they realize that they even have a mental health issue.
I agree with you, and that's why it goes back to what Councilmember Narcisse was saying, in that you address mental health very young. But I'm talking about people, like the families. One of the things that we have unfortunately, in our Black and Brown communities is like, we don't like to talk. We don't like to say anything, right? But now I think as a way to say people who are severe, I'm not talking about people who are in denial. I'm talking about people who are not in denial. The families are not in denial, right? And they're willing to say, if something were to happen, I need my child to be taken care of, my family member to take. That's what I'm talking about. I know that we're never going to have complete registration. It's not going to happen.
Well, I would not say to go for registration unless it's a problematic young man with the treatment. We have a few in our community. With the police officer, usually no. So now the whole thing about in the city level, what we're trying to do is trying to get organization and not even 311 for those young folks that have crises throughout in our community, to have a different number, right? So the different number, when you call, they will have to force to send a social worker. That's what we want. And that's already passed. We put budget allocated funding for that. Now you're going to have Be Heard. That's going to be throughout our community. It's not a perfect program, but that's where we put a lot of money. That's the one we have right now. Some people probably have the say there's the flaws, but I'm going to tell you, we have that in place right now as we speak. And then we want to do every precinct throughout the city. So when you have that, when the number dial, it's not going to be a policeman by himself or herself. It's going to be a group of social worker with different backup to go to that place, whether it's a store, because sometimes those young men end up in the store all the time, very often going back and forth, whether it's the store or at home. So we'll know, because that's what the community is about. It takes a village. That village we're talking about, we get to know who has problem in our community. So we'll have Be Heard coming in instead of having a bunch of police rolling up and kind of exacerbating the problem instead of making the problem easier. So that's what we have in place right now.
Excellent.
I love it.
Go ahead.
I want to ask a question. You mentioned that you allocated funding for the schools. Is that social workers? You're allocating money for social workers? Because there's or organization.
We have,
because you can allocate money
under H&H. You know, I'm chair for all hospitals, so the money going toward H&H to provide the services, to provide the professional within the school, and combine, collaborate
in the
school.
Okay.
So it's not psychiatrist.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, we can hear you.
So it's under
in and out.
Health and Hospital.
Okay.
So sending the professionals in the school.
Okay. To be present in the school all day, or just when
be
there's
present,
crisis?
they will have time in the school to see our children, to assess our children. We want our children the same way that you have a physical you have a gym, you have guidance counselor, so you're gonna have that too. So we want our children to be assessed early. So once we address the problem, whatever the little problem, before it become big problem. That's the whole intention. Just like when you diabetic, you want to be checked early. So start taking your medication and start preventive. We believe in the preventive model. That's what I've always been preaching, and that's what I'm looking forward in the city council as the only nurse there to push for that. And so far, my colleagues listen to me in the guidance, and I'm so blessed, like I said, to be in place for things that I have seen, to see how the best way we can address them.
Now, with that in place, the funding, will the parents need to approve? Because here's the problem. Some parents are in denial that their children might need support. And that is a major issue, because some of the parents need support themselves, especially coming from trauma. So that is one major problem that we face this year in schools, because you're dealing with parents' trauma, you're dealing with death, and then you're dealing with anger and trying to educate children who might not, they want to learn, but there's so much going on, and there's so much post-pandemic issues, and then home issues and things like that. So would you need the parent permission in order to do that? Or would it be set up like a nurse, like crisis? If there's a crisis, would this be someone that, hey, similar to a nurse, we're sending the child over to this individual to de-escalate the situation?
Yes. We have that as well. And we have organization Cure Violence that we're working in different sectors, especially the places that we see crime and all these things happening in our community. We're going to have a lot of support system. We're going to have support system. As a matter of fact, that's the reason I'm pushing the Gotham format centers to have all that. So where parents, we have the holistic approach in those Gotham clinics. So If you have problem, we want to take that stigma off mental health. That's a big task, but it can be done if we keep on doing the outreach. And I think the last video that Dr. Shusky did, it was me suggesting in an oversight that we have to see physical health just like mental health. Because
Yes.
we cannot take, sometimes having a crisis doesn't mean that you have mental health totally. You can be going through trauma, like we said at the moment, just like Assembly Member just mentioned, that you talk about like somebody just died. Of course, you're gonna go little step like thinking that, oh my God, I cannot cope, I'm depressed and stuff like that. But if you get support system, you're more likely not going to, just like life is just like you have a line. If you can go, you can visit the other side of the bar in the middle, but you can come back. But some people go further if they don't get the support that they need.
So you, further left, right. Bottom line is, you guys, why should they go out and vote for you on Tuesday?
I'm gonna let Nicholas take the lead now.
Yes.
They should go out and vote for us on Tuesday because there's been 30 years of great leadership in this neighborhood. And I personally, actually all of us, right, have been chosen by Nick Perry. And he led this community with honor and integrity. And those ideals are very important to leadership. And that's what we're looking to extend in this neighborhood, in this community.
And we bring together.
But hold on. Nicholas, why should they elect you? Not your dad. Why should they elect you?
Why should they elect me?
Yeah.
I have over 20 years of experience, right? In the city. I've helped people all over the city. I've helped move people out of the homeless shelters, right, into housing. I'm a senior advisor to the New York City Comptroller. I've led initiatives in the Comptroller's office. We recently came out with a report regarding gun violence. I advocated for that report for over 5 years to get that produced in the Scott Stringer administration, right? So I've been at a level where I've worked with citywide leaders. I have experience, and I'm ready to be a public servant. And I'm going to serve with honor and integrity, and that's why they should vote for me.
Gotcha. So, a female district leader, why should they vote for you?
I have been tested and proven to work for my community. On the city level, for less than 5 months, I was able to allocate funding in every school building that I have in my community. And starting from July, every side of my district will be clean. Allocated most funding, the pre-pandemic funding to sanitation. And I'm talking about parks. We're looking for 1 billion. We didn't get 1 billion, but we're getting closer in terms of we're able to allocate it all together. Of course, I'm in park committee, and today we had the oversight. It's about cleaning, maintaining the street,
Yes.
park, the trees they need, make sure that the stump trees that they have breaking those people's sidewalk being fixed. We are serious about the business, and I am serious. I am serious. I'm more serious than a heart attack. I hate to say that as a nurse, but that's the truth. I'm here to work. I'm here to make sure that the government work for the people. I believe in the government for the people, by the people. That's why everything that I do, I'm going to be very transparent. All my report, or every school, every dollar that I allocated, the taxpayer dollar, they're going to know exactly where it goes. Every organization that supports seniors, you see what I have done. I make sure they have the funding they need to make sure the active adults, okay? Because I'm getting closer anyway. So I have to respect seniors.
You there.
Even more. Hey, bro, I'm not.
Don't offend Patrick.
So no, in all seriousness, it's to provide the support and knows what you're doing. Because in 5 months in the city council, I deliver more funding to my district, more than my two predecessors. That's amazing. God put me in I work and I prove it that I can get it done. And I'm looking for more. I'm talking about all the Gotham clinic we're talking about is gonna be throughout the city. throughout New York City. There should be no high risk area that don't have a Gotham clinic that's gonna approach the preventive care model that I've been talking about. Mental health being addressed in the funding that I allocated. So I'm here to get the job done. If you want
Thank you very much.
He's not-
Assemblywoman, why should they re-elect you?
Hold on, you have something to say real quickly?
Yeah. Also, at the same time, like, I'm not just like trying to jump in the game as a big dog under my dad's name, right? I'm running for an entry level voluntary position, right? It's a non-salaried position, and I'm already doing the work, right? And that's why people should vote for me.
Yes, we're doing the work. We're doing the work.
And it goes back.
So Assemblywoman, so why should they re-elect you?
Reelect me. Well, we've been doing the work. I've been doing the work for over 2 decades, living in this district my whole entire life. And it was before I even had a title of assemblywoman. It's when I have 4 children I raised in this district, 20, 19, 16, and 14-year-old. And when I had my child, like, my children are not gonna go to the same adversities that I went through. So that's why I start pouring into our community. You can't just look within your house. You gotta look at the community that you serve. So I've been doing that for over 2 decades, and I continue doing the work. I'm proud to have been co-sponsor on the John Lewis Voting Rights Act bill, because when I was out there at the poll sites, we're seeing people being disenfranchised. They don't have Creole translation. They don't have certain things that they need. People are being bullied and they're being threatened at the poll sites. And what we need to do is make sure we have equity when it comes to that. So that was a bill that I definitely wanted to jump right into on my first day. My second day, I made sure, and making sure that we just have good policy and that we're inclusive. So we've been already doing monthly meetings, right, where we're educating the community. We have our up and coming district leaders here on what it is, when to vote, the Voting Rights Act, where the poll sites are, just making sure people are civically engaged. We got to change the mind of our community members by educating them and bringing them the information, giving them access. So that's what we're going to do holistically. I also have my vision and plan to make sure we have the small businesses united and organized in our community. We're having bids and merchant association. People are talking about the garbage in front of the businesses. We need to make sure they understand what resources they do have and take accountability for the community. When you talk about reducing gun violence, we need to organize block association, merchant association, tenant association. The whole community needs to be organized, but it has to start with the leaders first. They need to be united, and we need to make sure we get them. We have leaders here with a front of, we're going to be uniting the community. It doesn't matter who's for who, like who. It's about the community members, and we have shown that in the body of work that we've been doing, and we're not going to change because of a title. We haven't changed, and we're going to continue pushing the community forward. And guess what? We're from the communities we're trying to serve. We didn't just move in here for a seat, as many people has in the past. We care about our community, building the community, and already doing the work on the ground. So that's why people should vote for me. Vote for people. Look at what they did 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. What have they done in the community? And that could show you their character of how they will lead in the new title or re-elected title. So I appreciate the community members for coming out, over 80% of the vote, coming out to vote for me for the last election. And I'm hoping that we do that again. Do it big and better. Send a message that we want good leadership and good people. And we have the voice. We need the mic. And these electeds right here, people that you elect, is the microphone to amplify your message. We would not go static on you. We will not lose charge. We will not change our tune. We will be the mic that amplify your message and what you need in the community.
And by the way, you have to be at the table to defend your folks. And let me tell you, the minute I got into budget and negotiation, I got the list of all Black organizations that leading by Black folks.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was able to say CACI. I can name all the organizations that are Diaspora, Hope. I took all the Black organization that was losing money. Like CACI was about to lose $130,000. If I was not for the FY22, I was immediately call the people in CACI, tell them, get my paper, get this, get that. Because at that night, they told me I have a deadline. So if I was not at the table, what was going to happen? They were going to lose millions of dollars.
There are 2 questions, and hopefully I have enough time to ask both. I'm glad that you mentioned some of the things, because I now became the new community board chair for 17, and a lot of those issues that you're talking about.
Congratulations.
Right, thank you. A lot of those issues, sanitation, transportation, those things I'm glad that you're on that page. I want to go back last week, and so I'm hoping that we're going to get the opportunity to work together. to get some of those things done that you're talking about, especially within the community board District 17 that I now represent along with you guys. And I was going to put a special thing out there, district leaders and assemblywomen for Patigate Park, because it needs some work on the ground, and they need to have something that is very bad and people can get hurt, and a lot of football things use that. Let me get to my question. Last week we had on the control, so the controller Brad Lander. One of the things that we discussed was streamlining how 501c3s got their money, making it easier and faster. In your roles, right, either current or future, right, how do you plan to assist with streamlining 501c3s? Because a lot of them are getting hurt because they just don't have access to money, and you have to spend before you get, and you really don't have it. So let's talk about
it's a reimbursement process. The first thing I did, because I've been in business, so I had a lot of questions for the finance department. That's how we get to Brad. As a matter of fact, our group get to Brad too, because a lot of folks come to us in front of us when we were doing hearing before we finalize the budget. A lot of them don't have the cash flow. And that's the reason that a lot of Black and brown community not benefiting from the city money. So what we asked, they're putting 25% upfront. So we asking to put more than 25% right now, because we said our folks need that cash flow. So instead of holding the money for about a year or so now we ask them, the minute that you put all your paperwork in for reimbursement, remember discretionary funding is a kind of refund, right? You have to spend the money first. So that's how we Black folks cannot benefit. So we asking them to reimburse within 30 days. And then we spoke to Brad, our finance team did. So we have to create that opportunity. So before it used to be only $5,000 when you're first time getting in the portal of the city. So now we increase it to 20,000. So if you're new, you've been in existence for 2 years, instead of you getting 5,000 for the first time, you can get up to $20,000. And another thing, if you have any problem, the city council member that you associate with, because when you put it in a portal, you put the city council member's name that attached. So now they give us the list. So that's why I was able to save Taki. I was able to save a few other organizations that was problem delayed from getting last year money. Can you understand the FY22? So I was able to do that because I'm concerned. A lot of people, when the list come in front of the desk, they just ignore it because that's not my company, that I don't know the person. No, it's a Black company. So we want you to have the cash flow. So we're pushing for that. And Brad is very cooperative with us and supportive. So I believe this time around, a lot of things will be done for our Black and brown community. And especially I'm interested in Black community that have been suffering for so long.
And as the executive co-founder of a major nonprofit, these are some of the issues that we face with the reimbursement process. Having capacity, you can't run a nonprofit and try to go to 10 different workshops to help you procure the funds. So streamlining definitely would help with that. Having the advance money would definitely help with that. And having a department that work and handhold that process. Because what I had was a Nicholas Perry that I used to call from the comptroller's office to help procure those funds. So that's how I know him. I don't know him through his dad. And I always tell people that I know him through the comptroller's office and advocating for. We had a press conference with pure violence groups who haven't got paid in 5 years. How can we do the work on the ground when you don't have the money to do it? And that's what the capacity issue is a lot. The governor did a state of emergency when it comes to gun violence. And we will allow the stakeholders to come to the room and come to the table and explain to them the process. And they use the ideas to procure the funds in the state level. So I will encourage more processes like that and using that template and go beyond that and improve that template. You have to make sure if you can allocate an organization funding and kill that organization. Because the same way they procure 5,000, the same way to procure 500,000. And that process is very daunting and is a lot of work to do. do. So we need to make sure that we have people that could properly assist them and build capacity. So in each agency, they should have a capacity building process that help them with lawyers, accountants, and everything that they need to function as a nonprofit. So this way they can really focus on the work that they do well and let the professionals handle the work that they do well. So that's something also, but it's a city, state, and federal issue. It can't just be on the city council or on the state. We all got to work together and streamline processes that make sense.
And not only that, what we're doing too, we trying to get like sister and brother, big brother, big sisters type of approach to try to get people to understand the process. And for me, I'm planning to do workshop before the next budget, because I don't want to wait for the budget to come and it's trying to explain folks how to do the application, how to follow up. So we need to do workshop before. We cannot say people not qualified and you're not helping them to qualify. And that's our responsibility at our level to make sure our folks are qualified. And that's how others get to take advantage of the opportunity when the money come out, because they have a support group, support system to help them navigate the way. And for the portal, I don't think it should be so many places that you have to upload information. It should be one portal. It should not be, because sometimes you put in one portal to do application and you don't know when there's error in your application or there's something to follow up. They put it in a different portal. So now, and if the person not used to it to go look a certain place. So to me, it should be like a brochure, a cheat sheet, tell people exactly the minute you start, this is how you do it. But let me tell you something. In all honesty, I think the city, our group, been very supportive, because we took it to the finance department and they've been very, very supportive with our organization within the system.
And
so,
in addition, I would say we also need the agencies to come to the nonprofit. Everybody's not going to be able to go to a workshop to understand if you're running a business. So even in addition, some agencies has been coming directly to the nonprofits at their workplace at the time that they're available to make sure they accommodate them. So that's something I'm seeing happen, and we need that to happen even more.
So we have to thank you all for the advocacy that you are doing for your people, for our community beforehand, before you got elected, getting elected. So please remind people the date, who they should go for, they should vote. Thank you for taking the lead. We need great leaders in the community, and you guys are making that impact. So please tell people when to go out and vote. Who should they vote for? Let's go. Let's get it.
You want to go first?
Right now there's early voting until June 26th, right? And election day is on June 28th. And if they don't know where they should be voting, they can go to findmypollsites.com and enter their street address and their street and their zip code, and it will show exactly where they can go for early voting, the times for the rest of the days that we have left for early voting until June 26th, and then it will show them the main location where they vote on election day as well on June 28th. Findmypollsites.com.
Who should they vote?
Okay.
And they should vote for me, Nicholas Perry.
That's right.
Mercedes Narcisse, and I for member of state committee, and re-elect State Assemblywoman Monique Chandler Waterman.
Yes.
Say it again. Let's repeat. One more time.
They should vote for me, Nicholas Perry, Mercedes Narcisse, and State Assemblywoman Monique Chandler Waterman on June 28th, election day. Vote for us. Real Action Democrats.
Congratulations.
Yes.
SNP legacy.
Congratulations to all three of you. And looking forward to hearing more from you. So thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything. Vote for us, because we're going to get the work done. Thank you.
The 26th until the 26th, early voting, and the 28th, let's do it.
Yes.
And it's going to be on a regular school where you usually vote, and it's from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. Vote Mercedes Narcisse, Monique Chandler Waterman, and Nicholas Perry.
Hi, Mr. Gentle. That's my teacher. My 11. Thank you so much.
Thank you
so much, everyone, for coming on. We appreciate you, and good luck.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Come and share your success. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
That is, John, you groomed Mercedes very nicely. That's excellent. Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Yeah, you groomed her very nicely. I see her like sometimes working extraordinarily late nights. I'm like, wow, it takes a lot to do the work. Um, so, so we're almost out.
All I know is you need to come back from Jamaica with some mango. Your listeners want some mango. Your colleagues want some mango. Come on. Now, if you come back to New York with no mango, you're going to have a problem. So, listeners, we thank you for joining us this evening. We thank you for tuning in, hearing what we have to offer. And remember, you need to go out and vote. So as we end this week, be safe. Take your time out. Check on your family and friends. And again, go out and vote. Thank you, everyone. And have a great evening.
All right, villagers. Have a good evening. Get out there. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next Thursday.
All right. Bye-bye.